listeners. I'm Deb, your host of Between the Laugh Lines, the podcast where we get real about the moments that shape us every single day. I created this space so you always have someone to turn to, a resource, a friend, a little confidence boost when you need it most. Because let's be honest, we all lean on our people for advice, reassurance, and those little reminders that we're doing better than we think. After years of balancing career, motherhood, and everything in between, I've learned that confidence isn't about having it all together. It's about being real enough to talk about it and keep going anyway. Here we'll unpack the messy middles, the meaningful wins, and the moments that just might make you laugh out loud. You're not alone in any of it, so take a breath and settle in. You're about to feel seen, inspired, educated, and ready to laugh between the lines. Hey friends, welcome back to Between the Laugh Lines, where laughter meets life's lessons. Can you believe it's already just past mid-semester? Whether your student just came home for a fall break or hasn't had one yet, this is the time when college life gets real. Today's episode is one within my college series. It's November, and today we're doing a mid-semester / post-mid-semester check-in. What you as a parent should be looking at right now, from grades to possible housing for next year to finances and everything in between to keep your student on track and your stress in check. So grab your coffee, maybe a notebook, and let's talk about what every college family should be doing right now before the holidays sneak up on us. I'm going to cover the following segments: academics, next year housing considerations, financial, and of course, very important, mental wellness for your student as well as for yourself. So let's get into it. Okay, first, academic checkpoint. Let's start with the big one, right? Of course, academics. So midterms came and went, and that means it's time to pause and take stock. If your student is in their first semester or year, encourage them to actually look at their grades, not just assume things are going okay. Many professors post the midterm grades or progress reports online. I know my university, we have something called like a mid-semester advisory checkpoint. So it's definitely there, maybe just a little reminder to your student to check their grades. This is also a great moment to remind them to check in with the professors. Go to the professor's office hours, send an email. Even if they're doing well, professors notice who takes initiative. It can make a big difference later when they need a recommendation. And trust me, they're going to need a professor or two recommendations, whether it's for an internship or a study abroad application or whatever. So make sure they have at least one professor that they like and form more of a, friendly camaraderie relationship with them to just keep that in check. Next are your advisors. I cannot stress this enough. Students should meet with their advisor before spring registration opens. Now, of course, I might be a little bit late because October came and went for me. But if they wait until the week of spring registration, slots could be gone and stress skyrockets. Everyone's university does registration differently. Your student might get a pin. They might be assigned based upon their class level. So I know at my university, we start with seniors go first, juniors, sophomores, and then freshmen. So just make sure they know when their slot was, they did it. And if not, encourage them to go to their advisor and set up their spring schedule. Bring specific questions like, am I on track for my degree? Are there any prerequisites I should be taking for next semester? What electives might align within my career goals? So parents, your role here is to remind them, not micromanage. Think of it as training them to manage their own checklist. You can say something like, "Hey, I saw registration open soon. Have you met with your advisor?" Or even better yet, "Hey, did you register? Did you get all the classes you wanted? If not, then the next question is, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to talk to your advisor? Who do you need to talk to make sure you get into the right classes so that you can continue on your path to graduate in time?" Now let's talk housing. This is a big one. So hold on. It might feel early, but some universities actually open their housing applications for next year before Thanksgiving, and the spots are going to fill up fast. Also, if your university doesn't offer campus housing for, let's say, sophomores or higher levels, juniors, seniors, grads, and obviously that university doesn't require living on campus, then the other option is you and your student have to consider your off campus housing options. So let's talk first about if your student is living on campus next year. Now's the time to talk about roommate choices and building preferences, or actual room choices too. So, a simple ranking system is going to help. What are your top three dorms or complexes, as well as who are the people you want to room with? Now, just like this first year, next year is probably going to be very similar. You can either be dorming with one person, have a roommate, or you could have two roommates. You could have a suite, so where everyone has their own singles, but you're all in the same kind of area and you have a lounge area and share a bathroom. Or your student might just want a single now. They might be done with roommates and just want their own space. And a single room can come with a bathroom, a lounge, nothing. There obviously your university is going to hopefully have many different options for your student to choose from. But now's the time to really think about what's it going to look like next year, as well as what's it going to cost. Because clearly, a single space and one with a bathroom or a lounge or a kitchen or whatever is going to cost way more than you and your student and a roommate in a room. So know that finance plays a part as well as housing on this discussion. Now, second, if off-campus living is on the table, it's time to research. So, biggest thing is if you haven't done this already, start with where are the student dense neighborhoods or apartments near campus. These are going to be very broad questions. There's a ton more that we will go into, but what's the average rent for the apartment or the house for your student share? Are the utilities included? Is parking or transportation available? Obviously it's going to depend if you're in a urban, suburban area, a city-like area, factor all that in. I would suggest that you create a housing comparison chart because you know me, I'm totally all about my charts. But this is an extra teaching moment for off-campus considerations because even more so, you have to worry about now budgeting, safety, because if you're totally off campus, you have to remember that technically the university is really not responsible for your child once they are living outside of the university walls. So you have to know how comfortable your child's going to be living on campus, whether it's in a house, apartment complex, alone with roommates, etc. All part of adulting 101. Even more so, this is the biggest piece is the lease, whether it's a house or an apartment. But let's talk a little bit more about that here. So, off campus housing definitely can be overwhelming, especially if your student is in a state that is not your home state of residence. Definitely look at neighborhoods. Transportation to campus, like I said, does your university have a shuttle that does like a certain area? And you should look for houses or anything like apartments within that shuttle route. Or if your student, has their own car, then great. You just have to worry about parking. Do you have to pay for parking? I know, again, New York City, let's say someone is actually driving in there. You have to move your car a lot for parking. So just make sure you know all the rules of parking on street versus not parking on street. What's the proximity to food stores? Even like your local CVS, Walgreens, etc. Okay, so now actual living space. Same rules apply. Are there roommate situations that need to be considered? Or if you're in an apartment, is everyone getting a single? Do you have your own bathroom? Is that consideration? But all these things really have to start happening now if they haven't happened, at least in the month of October, or now let's say November. Some leases need to be secured in November and December for the following year, which is, as I mentioned, now. So be very aware of that. If your student is finding places to live, when do the leases need to be signed? When does that first month security deposit need to be received by, et cetera? What are the rules for that? Are you getting it back? Check the length of the lease. Is it just the college school months? Let's say like a May, no, not May, an August to a May, or do they require a full 12-month lease? That sometimes can be a make or break for some people because you're paying for rent and your student might not even be living in the actual apartment. And are you okay with that? And who's actually watching your belongings if they're staying there and no one's living there and things like that. If you're in an apartment style building, what are the amenities in the complex and what are you paying for? And if it's a house, what's included in that as well? Is it utilities or do you need to set up your own utilities for water, electric? Consider also air conditioning and heating of the house. So my older son, he lived off campus for year 2 and year 3 in a house, even though it wasn't a fraternity house per se. It was a house that like a bunch of his fraternity brothers all lived in, and they had to consider the heating because we're in the Northeast and it gets cold. So someone had to be on the oil delivery system and make sure there's oil in the house for heat. So, that was a big adulting 101 discussion, and, who is on the electric and who's responsible for that. So it definitely becomes a little complex as a consideration to think about off campus, but talk to your student. That's the biggest thing I could say is understand what's happening. What are the lease options? What are the neighborhoods? What's the transportation? What's included? Amenities, not amenities? And how is that student getting to campus? That is the biggest thing when you're off campus. You want to make sure your commute isn't terrible to actually get to the classes. Okay. Next section is financial. I know nobody likes this, but if your student is using financial aid or federal loans, guess what? The FAFSA for 26-27 is open. It actually opened on October 1st, so about a month ago. The sooner you file, the better. And trust me, the FAFSA form has gotten so much easier now. It's really super easy compared to, for instance, when I went to college. So this one is super easy. It's actually open for next college academic year. And if you didn't listen to my episode on the Big Beautiful Bill, please go listen to it to check out all the changes that are happening in 2026 for federal financial aid and how it could impact you and your student, whether they are an undergraduate or graduate student. Even if nothing major has changed in your life, double check your tax data, dependency status, and that your student's information is up to date. Beyond aid and the federal financial aid, it's also smart to check in with mid-year money habits with your student. Okay, this is a big one, and I will share my personal story. So, are they staying within their budget for their personal bank account? Have you checked it if you have access? Or does your student know the balance and where the money is going? So here's my personal story. I know my younger son was not monitoring his bank account during his first year and just using his debit card or Venmoing friends here and there, and in some cases using the credit card I had him get. I was floored when I would peek and look at where his balance was, where it started and where it was at Thanksgiving. I just lost it. I had to be firm to remind him that spending at the rate he was doing in the spring semester was pretty much going to result in a $0 balance. We had to have like a little mini accounting class, total mini, just to help him understand what a budget was again, and that there's no money coming in if you're not working on campus. So whatever was there is all that's going to be there. So, yeah, some spending habits absolutely changed and for the better. And he is definitely more aware of how to manage his money, thank goodness. Although not perfect, but whatever. Okay, the next section is your dining plan balance. So, all part of finances. Does your student know their dining plan balance if they have one? Don't run out of money there. So, same kind of issue as before. When you signed up for your dining plan, if you had to have one or wanted one, you should have had a recommended daily spending amount to keep your student on track. So, make sure they don't run out of money before the fall semester ends. Conversely, if they haven't spent money from their dining plan, do you know if the points roll over to the spring semester, or is it a use it or lose it plan? This is super important to know. My university does do the roll from fall to spring, but come the end of the spring, if it's not used, whatever is not used, then it's forfeited. So we can talk again about this in later episodes about the end of the spring semester and what to do. So clearly know about the dining plan. I mean, it's money that you paid, and make sure your student is using it, eating, and not just ordering like Uber Eats. Finally, in the last piece of finances, are there any new expenses coming this month, like the housing deposits for on campus housing, as mentioned above, or even is there any kind of first month's rent for a security deposit for an off campus place? Also, consider that you may or may not have to buy textbooks or rent textbooks for the spring semester coming up. So, definitely allocate some funding for that, unless you can rent them. But either way, rent, own, you're going to need some kind of books. And make sure this is always important too that your student has their computer, it's functioning fine, no cords are missing, they don't need an external hard drive or anything like that. So it's just another financial consideration to think about with electronics in school. So, one trick that I love, of course, is to have a short financial check in chat when the student comes home for Thanksgiving. Definitely talk about all the things I just mentioned. And then again at the December holiday, after the semester's over, kind of like regroup, set expectations before the new semester bills hit, as well as start segment 4. Right? We're talking about emotional and mental wellness now. So let's not forget about the mental side. Midterms bring stress, homesickness, and sometimes burnout. Encourage your student to take some small breaks, eat real food, not just vending machine chips and whatever extras that they eat, and get sleep, real sleep, not sleep, just because well, I guess I shouldn't even mention that, but just sleep. So, parents, your tone matters. Ask open ended questions like, how are your classes going? Which class is your favorite and why? Which class is your hardest? Instead of just saying, are you okay? Don't do that. Make sure they're talking to you. Try to have a pretty open dialogue. Create a space for them to share honestly. Actually ask to see their grades because remember, this isn't high school or middle school where you may have had access to a parent portal to see it all. It's college and you're not going to do that. So your student is most likely the only one with access to grades. Although, yes, we want to trust them when they say I'm doing good, fine. But my motto is trust, but verify. So ask for a screenshot of the grades, really see the results. I know, at least from a higher ed administrator, what I get a lot from other parents of the students that go to my school is, parents get frustrated because they're not on FERPA and they get mad at me and other people within the university to say, I pay the bill, so I should have rights to see these grades and things like that. But sure, I agree 100%. But this is adulthood, and actually, the federal government sees your child as a legal person at 18. So no, we're not required to show that to you. You need to have a conversation with your student, and as a parent, ask for the grades. I mean, like you just said, you have that right. So get them yourself. If they do mention struggling, remind them that every campus has resources. There's counseling centers, there's tutoring, peer mentors. Sometimes just hearing that those areas exist on campus might make it easier for your student to ask for help. Encourage them to take the action and advocate for themselves. I mean, start now. It's only going to get harder for everyone if you're always giving them the answers. So they need to be able to take action for themselves. Planning ahead. So now's time to look ahead. The bill for classes that your student registered for, hopefully, for spring will probably be arriving very shortly, if not already. So make sure you've planned for this financially. Double check how many courses and credits your student registered for. Some universities charge a flat tuition rate for, say, 12 to 17 credits. So if your student is now taking 18 credits in the spring, remember that's going to cost more. So it's just a tip to think about when the bill arrives. Really look at it, think about and consider what's different, if anything, on the bill. Are there new charges you weren't aware of? Are there special course fees? Anything like that. The holidays are a great time to have family chats. Regroup on all aspects of what worked this semester, what didn't, what they want to do differently, as well as what you want to do differently or see differently. And remember, it's not about control, it's about partnership. You're helping them build life skills, not micromanaging every choice. So to wrap up, mid-October, early November season is your family's halfway checkpoint, let's say, or just past it, depending upon when your students started the fall semester. Check grades, check housing, check finances, and most importantly, check in on your students' well-being. I'll be putting together a printable college year-round playbook that covers not just this midterm piece, but the whole year's cycle, from application and acceptance and orientation and move-in to advisor questions, housing comparison, and overall financial checklists. Follow me on Instagram and listen in on future episodes for the full release date. If this episode was helpful, hit subscribe, leave a quick review, and share it with a fellow new college parent who could use this quick mid-semester reset. Until next time, keep laughing, keep learning, and remember, it's progress, not perfection. Thanks for listening in.